Elections in India are no less than a miracle. And no, I'm not just saying this from a point of view of, oh, will we remain in democracy? I mean logistically. Consider this. In 2024, the general election happening as we record this, about 968 million people will cast their votes to elect 543 representatives to the Lok Sabha. This covers 7 phases, 44 days and thousands of candidates. Not to mention millions of boots on the ground working in cohesion to pull off the world's largest election. All this under the management of the Election Commission of India, which in the last few weeks has been hit by controversy after controversy. On paper, it is an extremely powerful constitutional body. Its actions don't demonstrate that. We've seen hate speeches by star campaigners, anti-minority propaganda on social media, voter suppression at poll booths, weaponization of religion to ask for votes, and candidates winning unopposed days before polling. That's not all. Months before the election, the government introduced a bill that removed the Chief Justice of India from the panel that decides India's election commission. So now there are 2 people who represent the government and 1 the opposition. So they're always going to win. And days before the election schedule was announced, the election commissioner himself resigned and was speedily replaced. Should this scare us? Is India's dance of democracy not on a level playing field? Are critics right when they accuse the Election Commission of being an extension of the party in power?
Election Commission has all the power, immense power. As I told you, the Supreme Court judgment that Article 324 is the reservoir of power. And anything which is not made is like a nuclear bomb. The court said that if a situation arises which is unforeseen, the Election Commission doesn't have to fold his hand to God and ask for guidance. The same government which appoints me cannot now ask me a question. Now I'm not under the government anymore, I'm under the constitution, directly responsible to the people of India. Not even the President of India can tell us what to do.
Not one press conference has been given. Is that unusual?
Even if I am very camera shy, media shy, very shy person, I speak very little, I have no business to be quiet. Keeping quiet, no, we don't talk, we are very shy people. That's not acceptable. Now they are begging for appointment and Election Commission not giving them appointment. What is this? This is not discretion. They are paid salaries to do this job and this is a part of their job. People have started losing faith.
Absolutely they have.
If I am there, if you talk to me, ask me a question about election, I will answer it better when I am sleeping.
The assumption is you are the peak of the pyramid. That you are the top and you are not answerable to anybody, whereas it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, that is arrogance, because the fact that we are not answerable to the government, to the parliament, to the president, anybody, only to our conscience and the constitution, which puts more onus on us to be transparent.
This is Let's Talk About, India's 2024 Lok Sabha polls. So we're recording this on May 17th, which is a Friday, a special edition of Let's Talk About, the Indian Lok Sabha election 2024. And the idea of this emerged during a hafta when our guest was the former Chief Election Commissioner, Dr. Shahabuddin Yaqub Quraishi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
And why I wanted to have a solo podcast interview with just you, Dr. Quraishi, was that the last time you were here on Hafta, we were talking about several things, including the Election Commission and the election and the conduct. And at that time, you had mentioned, your 2 books, and I will make sure Manisha reads both as soon as she's back again. An Undocumented Wonder, The Making of the Great Indian Election. The link is in the show notes below. You can order it from here. And also India's experiment with democracy. And in both these, you have spoken about the election. And in the conversation that we had, clearly you were more sympathetic towards the Election Commission than I was. But I guess that's a function of what I do and what you have done.
Election Commission and Supreme Court, they were, and CAG and UPSC, these are constitutional bodies because they were mentioned, they were created in the Constitution. Now, Article 324 is the most important thing which everyone should read and remember. it gives immense power, total power for conducting all elections in the country to the Election Commission. And its power is so immense that in one Supreme Court judgment 20-30 years ago, the court said that if a situation arises which is unforeseen, the Election Commission doesn't have to fold his hand to God and ask for guidance. The Article 324 gives the Election Commission total power.
In the case of this one very horrible communal ad, which was so vile, I actually want to find out who was the creator director behind it, who actually executed it, and who from the BJP thought it's a good idea to upload this. Where are these Muslims are being put in and HCs are being thrown out? It was vile. I won't even show it here. I'll just describe it. I'm sure many of our friends have seen it. The Election Commission asked Twitter to take down that ad.
Yeah.
Rather than send a show cause to BJP.
Yes.
Would you not say that is an act of cowardice? I mean,
it is up to the Election Commission to be powerful or spineless, or to go through some rituals and try to do something. Of course, what you mentioned was a fit case for a FIR. It is a violation of not only representation of people at an IPC, there is a special act against misuse of religion and religious places.
So had you been Chief Election Commissioner at the time, would you have sent a notice to the party?
Of course.
Let's take some specific cases. The case of a candidate entering a booth and making women remove their hijab to match their IDs. What is the action that you would have taken against a person like this? Can you disqualify that person, or say that person should not be seen anywhere near a booth? Like, what can you do to that person?
In this case, this was a candidate, and a candidate is allowed to enter any polling station within his or her constituency, which you could have done. But taking the law in her own hands. Tomorrow, this lady will sit in the presiding officer's seat herself. Okay, you get up, and I'm the candidate, I'll sit here.
One is the EVMs, and should they not give a demonstration? Should the Election Commission not be talking to the press and through them to the people of India? Not one press conference has been given. Is that unusual? I don't know if that was a one-off thing, but I remember that visual in my head of you taking questions and addressing whatever concerns there are. This Election Commission does not take any questions. And therefore, why should I trust it? Why? Then they have something to hide.
Yeah, I think this is a grave mistake, because communication is extremely important. Even if I am very camera shy, media shy, very shy person, I speak very little, I have no business to be quiet. Because as a Chief Election Commissioner, as an Election Commissioner, nation wants to know from me what I think of the machine, what I think of this, for their trust. And I personally feel, my experience is that political parties, they are the second biggest stakeholders after the voters themselves. So
Right.
they have to be taken seriously. Now they are begging for appointment, and Election Commission not giving them appointment. What is this? This is not discretion. They are paid salaries to do this job, and this is a part of their job. Every political party has questioned EVM at some point or the other.
Right.
And in 2009, ironically, the BJP was the critic of the EVM, to the extent that they wrote a book, Democracy in Danger, with a foreword by Mr. L.K. Advani, no less.
Correct.
So, in that background, when I took over as CEC, I immediately called a meeting of all political parties, which was led by then Chandrababu Naidu. Chandrababu Naidu, you will recall, was a technology icon. So
Yes.
I was quite surprised, and I told him the controversy, the debate is that they want 100% VVPATs to be counted. So, and the reply which I have heard from the Election Commission, I don't know which Election Commission now or 2-3 years ago, that it will take 5-6 days. To me, is the most stupid answer, to put it very politely. Why it is a stupid answer? Now, initially they went to Indian Statistical Institute, Calcutta, which gave them the advice that one machine from every assembly constituency, which means out of 250 to 300, if you count one machine, that will give you 99.9% satisfactory feedback.
Outcomes,
now, one
right.
thing which shocked me then, ISI, the expert institute, took 3.5 months to give this reply. Whereas if I'm there, if you talk to me, ask me a question about election, I will answer it better when I'm sleeping. People have started losing faith.
Absolutely, they have. Because there has to be a good reason for saying no, right?
Yes, quite
and
right.
if you can't give a good... I mean,
Correct.
I also think, Dr. Quraishi, it is a cultural thing with bureaucrats not wanting to answer a question. Bhai, the assumption is you are the peak of the pyramid, that you are the top and you are not answerable to anybody, whereas it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, that is arrogance, because we are answerable. The fact that we are not answerable to the government, to the parliament, to the president, anybody, only to our conscience and the constitution, which puts more onus on us to be transparent. Because
Right.
people have to trust us, that we are only answerable to the people. They are our bosses, so they have to be fully satisfied. Are they?
Please do check out both the books. The links and the show notes below. And the first 15 people to actually subscribe, mail me abhinandansekhri@gmail.com. I repeat, abhinandansekhri@gmail.com. I shall buy the books, get them signed from Dr. Quraishi and courier them to you. So you can mail me with your fresh subscription at abhinandansekhri@gmail.com and we shall send you a signed book by Dr. Quraishi from Newslaundry.
Please also include the third book in your incentive scheme, which is called The Great March of Democracy, which is a collection of 27 articles of top people in the world, the top experts on Indian election, including Mr. T.N. Session. There is a chapter by T.N. Session and there is a chapter on T.N. Session by a French professor. So that book also by Penguin, so you can include that in your...
So that's a third book as well. So you know who to mail, you know what the email should say, and you know you have to subscribe.